Hi there, time for week 4 of the Richard v Jack Match Attax Premier League score prediction battle. The score at the moment is currently 112 to me, 119 to Jack, so it's pretty close. Jack did pretty well last week in predicting the goal scorers. I did pretty well the week before, so it's all fairly neck and neck at the moment. It's only 7 points in it. Obviously, how this works is you get what we're going to do is we're going to have all 10 games for this season, or this current week. We're going to use the Match Attax cards from this season to do that. And what you do is if we predict a right result, we'll get 1 point. If we predict the right score completely, say 1-1 when the game finishes 1-1 or 2-2 or 3-2, we'll get 3 points. And then each week we're both going to pick 5 goal scorers. And obviously every time they score a goal you get 5 points. Obviously if say I pick Alexis Sanchez, he scores 2 goals, then I'll get 10 points. Obviously this is the 4th week, so obviously check back at some of the previous videos as well. But this week, the current fixtures we've got now are the early kick-off today, which we have Burnley against Manchester City. Burnley are a team that, again, I mean, obviously they had an unbelievable result by beating Liverpool. Looking at the stats the other day, Liverpool had 80% possession and lost the game 2-0, which is an incredible stat. But I think Man City doing really well again this season. They seem to have had a bit of a turnaround in form in the last couple of matches. So I think Manchester City are going to win this one 3-0. And I'm also going to use 2 of my goal scorer cards. I'm going to use Aguero and De Bruyne. De Bruyne, again, one of those players, like I said in previous videos, he's one of those players that sort of makes everything tick for Manchester City. So I'm going to use those 2 and go for a 3-0 win there.
I'm also going to make it 3-0, and I'm also going to use Sergio Aguero as my goal scorer card.
Okay, yeah, so we're both fairly confident that should be a Man City win. The next game we have, from the 3 o'clock kickoffs, we have Hull against West Brom. Again, 2 teams on their day, usually sort of set up fairly defensively. West Brom have obviously came off a 4-0 win last time out, so they're going to be obviously a little bit confident from that. So I think I might put this one down as a 1-1. I fancy that Hull might score, but obviously I think West Brom will probably score, so I'll put that down as a 1-1.
I'm also putting it down as a 1-0.
Okay, so the next game we have the current champions against Middlesbrough. This is a game I think Leicester would fancy winning, obviously being champions from last season, struggling a bit this year, and currently only seen 2 points off relegation, so it's a game they really do need to win, obviously, because if a couple of teams below them win and they don't win this one, they're going to be sort of on the borders of relegation, if not in the relegation zone. So I think Leicester are going to go for this one. Vardy obviously hasn't scored a club goal for a little while now in the league, so he could do with, again, signing something. I think I'll probably put this one down as a 2-0 to Leicester.
I'm going to put it down to 2-0, and I'm going to use a goal scorer card, and then it is Mahrez.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats for Leicester a couple of days ago. Mahrez, I think, has scored 4 penalties already this year. So obviously Leicester have had a few penalties, and obviously that helps. Picking Mahrez as a goal scorer as well. Then we have Liverpool against Sunderland. As I've said in some of the previous videos, Liverpool this season have been on fire, and if you look at their attacking threat, it's probably second to none, really, unless perhaps Man City can maybe argue that they've got, when they've got everyone fit, but there's not really been a time when they've had De Bruyne and everyone fit. Obviously Yaya Toure coming back in last week and scoring a couple of goals was a little bit out of the blue. Obviously Guardiola hadn't really favoured him, but obviously when you put someone in the team and they score you 2 goals that wins the game, obviously gets you a little bit confident again. So then we've got Liverpool. I think we'll probably win this one 3-1. I fancy Sunderland might score. Liverpool, like I say, going forward are brilliant. At the back, always a little bit suspect. So I think Sunderland, with obviously Jermaine Defoe, will probably get a goal. So I think I'll put that down as 3-1 for Liverpool.
I'm also going to put it down as a 3-1.
And then the next game is Swansea against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace desperate for a win. I was reading a stat the other day that Crystal Palace in 2016, the calendar year, have got the lowest number of points out of every single club in the whole of the Football League. So that includes the Premier League, Championship, League One and League Two. So Alan Pardew, a lot of people think, is quite lucky to still be in his job based on those stats and the lack of victories. I think 5 victories in the whole of 2016, so that's probably out of 35 games. So if they hadn't have had a good start to last season, they'd really probably been relegated and probably been playing the Championship this season. So I think on that basis, Crystal Palace with Benteke as well, I think I'll put this down as a 1-0 to Crystal Palace. I think they'll be quite try and be quite solid to not concede, but I think they're definitely going to need to try and win this one, probably to hopefully help save their manager's job.
I'm going to put it down as a 1-1.
Okay, so Swansea 1, Crystal Palace 1 for Jack. And then we have today's late game, the London Derby, Chelsea against Tottenham. Again, London derbies are always a bit feisty. Chelsea obviously currently sitting top of the league. Tottenham with aspirations to do well, if not win the league. Obviously after coming so close last year. I'm going to use a couple of goal scorer cards on this one. I think this will be 2-2. I think there'll be a few goals. And I'm also going to use Diego Costa for Chelsea, because again he's on a bit of a purple patch at the moment, scoring quite freely. And I'm also going to use Harry Kane. Obviously being an Arsenal fan, I know this stat pretty well. He scores an incredible amount of goals in London derbies, whether it's against Arsenal or Chelsea or any other team from London. So I think he'll probably net a goal, and again also as a penalty taker that obviously helps the situation as well. So I'm going to put this down as 2-2 with those 2 goal scorers.
I'm also going to put it down as a 2-2, but I'm going to put Eden Hazard to score for Chelsea.
Okay, so there we have 2 again. And then the Sunday games, we have Watford against Stoke. Watford, again, always, every time you look at their results, you think, well, I tend to think, oh, well, they've had a pretty good result there. It's a little bit surprising. Obviously, you look at Watford and think, obviously, a couple of years ago, well, going back sort of 5 or 10 years, probably 15 years, since the Premier League started, they've always been one of those teams that sort of done well in the Championship, come up to the Premier League, struggled, and then gone back down. But this season, they seem to be sort of solidly mid-table currently. I think they're on 18 points or 16 points, which is pretty good for a team, like I say, who historically haven't done brilliantly in the Premier League. Stoke, again, a team that over the years have always sort of been sort of somewhere around about 11th to 16th. On occasion sort of flirted with relegation, but obviously they've been in the Premier League now for a little while. So I think I'll put this one down as a 1-1.
I'm going to put it down as a 2-1 to Watford.
Okay, so there we go. Watford, obviously, if that comes through, Watford will really cement themselves in mid-table. Again, we've got Arsenal against Bournemouth tomorrow. Obviously, Bournemouth in recent weeks have been doing pretty well, but obviously that's been quite a lot on the back of Jack Wilshere having a bit of a resurgence. And obviously, with Arsenal owning Jack Wilshere and Wilshere being on loan at Bournemouth, he won't be able to play against his parent club. Funnily enough, Arsene Wenger is one of the people who thinks that if you are on loan, you should be allowed to play against your parent club. Obviously, because of all the regulations and betting and everything these days, and I don't think there'll ever be a point where the Premier League will allow players to play against their own. I'm sure the players would try even harder, because obviously they'd want to prove a point to their main club that they should probably be in their first team anyway. But I think this one is going to be 3-1. I think Arsenal, notoriously bad in November, but they've gone so far through November without being beaten. Admittedly, they've had lots of draws, but that's an improvement on lots of Novembers rather than getting no points or losing. At least drawing still keeps a little bit of momentum, and now we're an 18-game run without losing. So again, that's pretty positive. So I think 3-1, and I'm going to put Ozil down as a scorer. Again, had a pretty good season, but been quiet in the last 2 or 3 games. So I think that probably gives him a chance to get back in the goal-scoring way.
I'm going to put it down to 3-0 to Arsenal, and I'm going to use Sanchez and Ozil to score.
Okay, so again, similar results, but obviously different goal scorers. Again, then we've got Manchester United against West Ham. I was having an argument about whether to put Ibrahimovic in as one of my player scorers. I think I'm probably going to regret this. Ibrahimovic, so far, I heard during the midweek game that Ibrahimovic has scored 8 goals in 17 games, currently for Manchester United, so I think he's probably due a goal. Against West Ham, a team that's struggling, but West Ham, funnily enough, I think you're probably due a result on the road. So I think I'm going to put this down as a 2-0 to Manchester United, although I think West Ham will probably try and probably put up a bit of resistance early on, but I think Manchester United will probably be a bit too strong for them at home, and obviously Mourinho is going to be motivating them again because he's again still under a bit of pressure, already sort of 6 points off the top, or 6 points off 4th, I think. So there we go, Manchester United 2, West Ham 0.
I'm going to put it down to 2-1 to Man U.
Right, so Jack going 2-1 to Man United. And then the final game of the weekend, we have Southampton against Everton. Southampton at home, reasonably formidable, despite over the last 3 or 4 years selling a lot of their best players. They still seem to find players that perform to a high and decent level in the Premier League. Obviously, some people like Van Dijk, who went there, and obviously having played in Scotland before, people were saying, well, can he perform in the Premier League? But I think he's been probably one of the most solid defenders in the league this year. So I think, obviously with Lukaku as well, Everton are going to be a pretty strong attacking force. So I'm going to put this one down as a 1-1. I think I can see Southampton scoring. I can also probably see Everton scoring. I can't see it being too high scoring, so I think 1-1 for this one.
I'm going to put down 3-0 to Southampton.
And there we go, 3-0 to Southampton. Okay, so that's our predictions for this week. Obviously we'll do, like I said, we're going to be doing one of these every week going forward. So please check out, like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.